Are you watching Current Issues? My name is Vineet Malhotra. The Sensex dropped 1100 points after Britain in a referendum voted against being part of the European Union. David Cameron announced that he will be resigning from the post of the Prime Minister as the country needed a new leader to usher in this historic and paradigm shift of Britain's economic blueprint and its fundamental global policies. The pound lost some sheen today. The London Stock Exchange plummeted after this historic vote. But what will be the effects on the Indian economy as the result of this? Let's find out with our guest in the studio. I have with me Sharat Kohli, who is a business analyst. Sharat, thank you so much for joining us. We have Ashutosh Mishra, who is a senior business journalist. Ashutosh, thank you for coming to the studios and joining us. And we have Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who's an economist as well as a BJP spokesperson. We will connect to him very shortly. But Sharat, starting with you, will this particular exit by Britain somehow in the future or in the days to come, or let me put it this way, is the breakage, the disintegration of the European Union imminent?
Well, we've been hearing about that, and UK's exit is a major shake-up for the European Union, shall I say? You see, Europe has about total population of about 50 crores, as compared to 125 crores of India. So it's a huge market. The total GDP of Europe is about $16 trillion,
which is 1/4 of the world GDP.
Which is 1/4 of the world GDP. So to say that it will have no impact on India would be a little far-fetched, and a disintegration of European Union, yes,
far-fetched and probably wishful thinking.
Yeah, it is wishful thinking as well. But then to imagine that Europe will disintegrate that soon is also a bit far-fetched, because because let's not forget that the effect of this Brexit is not going to be immediate. It is going to, they say, the full effect of converting this Brexit to an actual Brexit is going to take at least 2 years.
2 years, right.
So it is between the European nations to sit down together. It comprised of 28 nations. They are now left with only 27.
Right.
They have to sit down together. They have to talk as to what is the future strategy without a major partner like UK. Once UK is out, Europe is having a different outlook altogether.
Okay.
So we need to see how Europe looks like, and what particularly the main powers, Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, how they perceive this exit. They will have to sit down together in the EU Parliament in Belgium and decide.
Okay, let's also look at how the voting patterns turned out to be. Prime Minister David Cameron was very, very sure that, the Britain will decide to remain with the European Union, but I'm sure a lot of people broke his heart. 51.9% of the population decided to leave the European Union, and 48.1%. I must say, that the differences, Ashutosh, in this particular referendum between the naysayers and the yeasayers were marginal. But having said that, Britain was never really, completely immersed in the European Union, because, they never let go of the pound. And second of all, they never had any border restrictions. Or they probably had border restrictions, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just to add to what he was saying, we are going to have some impact, but I think we are over-analyzing here.
Right.
Because we have, in UK, there is a separate minister who takes care of trade with India.
Right.
Now that means if India, the trade between India and UK is going to increase. And one of the major reasons why the British were against being in EU was Brussels was playing unnecessary, the bureaucrats there were interfering there. So maybe we'll gain there. In EU, in any case, we have good trade with them. So I don't see how that is going to be affected.
Ashutosh, I would like to intervene here and bring to light some of the facts. Let's take an example of Jaguar Land Rover, which is a Tata company as of now. Now, when they studied the impact of Brexit, they found that because of Brexit, they could lose up to £1 billion of profit over the next 10 years. And let me tell you, Tata Motors anyway is facing a recessionary trend.
Right.
It's not doing too well. In fact, initially when Jaguar Land Rover was launched, there was a big boom, and it was suddenly welcomed around Europe. It has a major component, about 35 to 40% component supply of Jaguar Land Rover comes from Europe. So with Britain out of Europe, those trade pacts which Europe and European Union had between themselves, there were a number of trade pacts on customs, on VAT, on other issues. So they are going to go. The moment these trade pacts go, the import of components for Jaguar Land Rover, I'm just taking an example, are going to go. Similarly, 24% of the sales of Jaguar Land Rover, we're taking it as a case study, were being made to the European Union. But now those sales will also be affected because some of the products being supplied from the UK are going to be more expensive.
Okay,
for the
so Sharad,
Europeans.
basically, to synopsize what you were saying is that, there will be an effect. It's very difficult to probably name it. It's going to be marginal, or it's going to be negligible, or it's going to be a lot. But on that note, let's also bring in Gopal. Let me just get Gopal Krishnan Agarwal's point of view at the start of this debate as well. Mr. Gopal, thank you so much for joining us. India has been trying to negotiate a free trade agreement with the European Union since 2007. Now the Brexit sort of shakes everything up, and probably we'll have to start over again. Is it good or bad for Indian economy?
Yeah, ultimately this exit of Britain is bad for the whole world, the even global economy, European Union, everywhere it's bad. But the question is that it is similarly it is bad for India also, and therefore we have seen that sudden volatility and turmoil in Indian stock market and even the currency market. There was a turmoil and there is apprehension everywhere. So that is one part of it, and that is very clear that nobody expected this to happen, and people were expecting that Britain will remain with the European Union. So there will be repercussions, serious repercussions everywhere, and that is we can see from the statement of all people. The question is now how to handle that crisis that has arisen, and are we resilient enough to handle that? That is important for us. The knee-jerk reaction that our capital market today saw and the currency market today saw, that is not called for. That is
okay, Gopal, I'll come back to you, but now let's listen in. Now let's listen in to the Prime Minister. Who seemed little perturbed by this development. Let's listen in to David Cameron now.
And I made clear the referendum was about this and this alone, not the future of any single politician, including myself. But the British people have made a very clear decision to take a different path. And as such, I think the country requires fresh leadership to take it in this direction. I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination. This is not a decision I've taken lightly, but I do believe it's in the national interest to have a period of stability and then the new leadership required. There is no need for a precise timetable today, but in my view we should aim to have a new Prime Minister in place by the start of the Conservative Party conference in October.
Let me tell our viewers that in 1975, approximately 40 years ago, a similar referendum was carried out, and at that time it was not EU, it was the European Economic Community, and at that time the British population voted in favour of being with the European Union or the European Economic Community. Now, Ashutosh, coming back to you, it's been a referendum. How prudent, is this mode of actually deciding political and economic future and policies via a referendum? Are people aware of all the economic repercussions? Are the people aware of all the political, complexities that arise?
But isn't that what democracy is all about?
It is.
Asking the people what they feel, how they are getting affected by the economic policies. Now, if we see this particular referendum, Cameron had promised that he will take this, and the voting, if you see what has happened, is that the metros in UK, they have voted, all the educated and upper class people, they have voted to remain in EU. It is the Aam Aadmi of England who has voted against it. So it's
please don't say Aam Aadmi. We might have a party by a similar name in UK
common
as well.
Man. Okay, there's a common man. So it's like what happened in India when the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government was there. They had this thing that India is shining and everything is fine, and then suddenly they were jolted and they realized that the common man is actually not happy. That's exactly what has happened in England also.
Okay, so what basically, in a sense, you're trying to say, and Sharad, this probably is for you, that the people of Britain felt that the EU, there was something wrong with the EU. It was undemocratic. It was probably turning into a bully, and the xenophobia which has gripped Europe in the last few years is probably another reason why this policy gained momentum.
No, there were two major reasons for Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage, who was the Boris Johnson was the former mayor of London, and Nigel Farage is the president of the Independent Party. There were two major reasons why Brexit campaign was picked up. One reason was that people from the poorer European nations, Eastern European nations like Poland, like Romania, like Slovenia, like Slovakia, they were freely moving into UK. And you could, every time you traveled to UK, you found there were more and more non-Brit people moving around who used to exactly look the same actually. Unless you talk to them, you never come to know. So they were taking away the jobs which the so-called Aam Aadmi, as Ashutosh says, the jobs actually belonged to the people who were belonging to the non-metros. That was the trend before these people immigrated to UK. So these jobs suddenly found new takers who were willing to take up the jobs at lesser salaries. So the Aam Aadmi or the non-metro people, they found that our jobs are being lost, which is the reason they voted for Brexit. The second important reason was that these two people, we have to go into the politics very briefly. Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage, they let the cat out of the bag. And the cat was that UK was contributing £5 billion every year to the European Union as a member, as a help, because it's a union, so you have to contribute something to remain a member to help the other members. So this was putting pressure on the coffers of United Kingdom. And because of that, austerity measures were implemented in UK, government salaries were cut down, government spendings were cut down, infrastructure investments were cut down.
So you probably are hinting towards a possible split in the Conservative Party as well.
Yes, there could be. You never know. There could be because the other thing was the other thing is that United Kingdom was wondering, the common people, as Ashutosh rightly said, people in London and Scotland, they were primarily businessmen. So the businessmen were benefiting from Brexit because they were getting cheap salary, cheap labor, cheap staff members, whereas the people in the other smaller towns, their jobs were being taken away.
So it's the anti-immigrant sentiment which probably
Absolutely. That is the prime
Brexit.
reason.
Okay, now let's listen into Jayant Sinha and see what he has to say about Brexit.
तीन पहलू हैं इस विषय के। एक तो जो मैंने अभी आपको बताया कि मार्केट्स में एडजस्टमेंट होगा और ये एडजस्टमेंट प्रोसेस आज काफ़ी कुछ हुआ है, रीसेटिंग एक्सपेक्टेशंस की हुई हैं, पर अगले मुझे लगता है 1-1.5 हफ्ते में ये चलता रहेगा। तो ये एक पहलू है जिस पे हम लोगों को ध्यान देना है और जो ऑर्डरली एडजस्टमेंट प्रोसेस होना चाहिए और लिक्विडिटी का प्रावधान होना चाहिए वो होता रहेगा। ये पहली बात है। दूसरा पहलू ये है कि जो हमारी कई सारी कंपनीज हैं जो आज के समय यूके में अपना बेस बनाकर यूरोप में उनका बिजनेस चल रहा है, उनके ट्रेडिंग अरेंजमेंट्स हैं, उनके बिजनेस ऑपरेशंस हैं, उनको अब काफ़ी जल्दी से कुछ ना कुछ इस पे परिवर्तन लाना पड़ेगा और उनको सोचना पड़ेगा कि उनके ऑपरेशंस में क्या अब बदलाव ज़रूरी होगा क्योंकि ट्रेडिंग रिलेशनशिप्स बदलने वाली हैं। तो ये दूसरा पहलू है। तीसरा पहलू ये है कि अब यूके के साथ और यूरोपियन यूनियन के साथ जो ट्रेडिंग अरेंजमेंट्स हैं उनके बारे में भी भारत को अब सोचना पड़ेगा, किस प्रकार से व्यापार की व्यवस्था हम लोगों को तय करनी है वो हम लोगों को देखना पड़ेगा। पर वो थोड़ा लॉन्गर टर्म, मीडियम टर्म का मामला है, ये कुछ दिनों चलेगा इन सब चीज़ों को तय करने के लिए, क्योंकि अभी पहले जो प्राथमिकता यूरोपियन यूनियन देने वाली है और यूके देने वाली है वो आपस में जो उनके व्यापार की व्यवस्थाएं हैं उनको किस तरीके से बदला जाए। तो ये सब जो है ये एक लंबी प्रक्रिया होने वाली है। आपको मालूम है कि आर्टिकल 50 को इन्वोक करके 2 साल का ये एक प्रोसेस होता है, एक प्रक्रिया चलती है, तो वो मुझे लगता है कुछ दिनों चलने वाली है।
Okay, so there will be effects on the Indian economy, and what those effects will be, we'll show you through a mode of a graphic. But before that, let's go back to Gopal Krishnan Agarwal and find out from him also that 800 companies, find their offices in Britain. How do you think they will be affected, Gopal?
Actually, we have bilateral trade with UK, and then we have a trade with European Union. The problem these companies will face, those who were supplying with the base in UK supplying to European Union, they particularly will have problem. They will have to renegotiate, and other issues will be there. Definitely there are issues, but with globalization of our economy is more and more integrated with the European, American, all global economy, and these kind of shocks will definitely be there. Therefore, we need to open up. That the government is already taking steps like opening up of FDI, bringing up strong macroeconomic factors, building up strong reserves on foreign exchange, currency stability. All these are fiscal account deficit control. All these issues will in itself make a strong economy domestically. But we cannot say that these global shocks will not affect our economy. We need to have a resilience in our economy to meet those global challenges. In the same time, we further may have a benefit out of some factors like this, that we were seeing that slowly the this petroleum products prices were going up. They may become more stable now or come down. Similarly, currency also we may have a better currency flow, and on the other hand, we can have, because Indian economy is showing strength, we may have more FDI. So there will be definitely recorrections or readjustment in the economy. But as far as domestic economy is concerned, we are well entrenched in our markets. We have a stable currency. So I think domestically our economy.
So in a sense, what you're saying, Gopal, is that currency markets, global currency markets, Ashutosh, and capital flows are two of the areas which definitely will be affected when we talk about an Indian interest or Indian point of view. How would you address that issue? Will it take a couple of years for that to even out, or are we going to see a knee-jerk reaction like we saw today? The Sensex plummeted by 1100 points.
Even if you see today, when things started, people were expecting the market to drop by 7 to 8%. Ultimately, it dropped just 2%, just above that. Now, when we talk about dollar getting stronger, today itself, crude prices have fallen. So that balancing will always be there. Pound, we have gained against the pound if you have lost against the dollar. So this is something which is which will take some time. But when it comes to real economy, India will not feel that much of an impact. It will be minimal.
So you say there's not going to be much of an impact. India is going to be untouched by Brexit.
We will more be affected by monsoons and how we do domestically.
Right.
Even our stock markets will be affected by corporate earnings more.
Okay, but Sharad, the David Cameron doesn't feel that way. In fact, he used a couple of strong words. He said for Britain, this is as close to economic suicide as they've ever been, and the results, not only for them but the global economy, are going to be catastrophic. Well, now, those are some harsh adjectives that have been used by the Prime Minister. And I cannot put myself to think that it's not going to have some sort of a ripple effect on the Indian economy, because let's not forget that 1/6 of our IT exports are towards Great Britain.
Absolutely.
Can we really sit on this, incubate on this, that it's not going to matter?
Let me first take the later portion of what you said. You see, what has happened is that the Indian IT companies having presence in Europe and UK, what they used to do is they used to use UK as a gateway, because that was an English speaking country. So there are other offices in Paris, Madrid, Frankfurt. They used to be kind of satellite offices, contact points, where UK used to be the main office. Now there were many pacts between EU and Britain, which were facilitating easy business between the two places. Pacts on VAT, pacts on import duties, pacts on other tariffs being levied on the businesses. Now, once the Brexit happens, these pacts will be gone, which means if a company from India who's got a European headquarter in UK can no more have a European headquarter in UK, it will have to have a separate headquarter in one of the European nations. Then coming down to Cameron's statement, I partly agree with this. What was happening in UK right now was because of this massive immigration coming from these poorer European nations, there was a pressure on the property market. In fact, property market was shooting and going through the roof so much that Britain had to impose certain taxes to curtail that shooting UK property market. So Cameron says the property market is going to deflate by 10%. There's going to be, it is going to sink into a recession. One of the major forecasts of Brexit is that UK economy is going to sink 6% in terms of GDP over the next 10 to 15 years. And let me tell you that the UK GDP right now is not doing great anyway.
Right. Okay, let's listen into Meera Sanyal on Brexit as well.
जो रुपी गिर रहा है वो एक इमीडिएट शॉर्ट टर्म नीजर्क रिएक्शन है जो ग्लोबल वॉलेटिलिटी को रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा है। लोग ये सोच रहे हैं कि अब आगे क्या होने वाला है, यूके पॉलिटिक्स में क्या होगा, क्या डेविड कैमरून रहेंगे, क्या बोरिस जॉनसन आएगा, क्या स्कॉटलैंड यूके के साथ रहेगा, क्या नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड स्कॉटलैंड के साथ रहेगा, यूरोपियन यूनियन पर क्या असर पड़ेगा। अब जैसे डच जो राइट विंग पार्टी है वो कह रहे हैं हम एग्जिट करना चाहते हैं। तो अब सडनली बहुत ग्लोबल अनसर्टनिटी हो चुका है और जो फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स हैं वो अनसर्टनिटी को पसंद नहीं करते। तो ये जो हम रिफ्लेक्शन देख रहे हैं ये ग्लोबल अनसर्टनिटी का रिफ्लेक्शन है। अगर आप थोड़े मीडियम और लॉन्ग टर्म दृष्टि से देखें तो कुछ ज्यादा असर नहीं पड़ना चाहिए डायरेक्टली इंडियन इकोनॉमी पर। हम ब्रिटेन से ट्रेड कर रहे हैं, आगे भी करेंगे, हम यूरोपियन यूनियन से ट्रेड कर रहे हैं, आगे भी कर रहे हैं और इंडियन मार्केट बहुत बड़ा मार्केट है। हाल ही में हमने एफडीआई रेगुलेशंस रिलैक्स किए हैं तो वो फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट आएगा।
So global currency markets and uncertainty, Ashutosh, are like chalk and cheese. They don't mix. That's what in a sense she's trying to say. But having said that, there is a precedent that has been set by this referendum. Do you think other countries like the Netherlands and France and Germany, they would probably also, want to go the same route and, consider more of an autonomy in the future? And if that happens, if that does happen, are we looking at, a global economic catastrophe or not?
This is going to happen because if you see in Europe, everywhere in most of the countries, the right wing is gaining in strength, and a trigger everywhere is immigration,
right,
and shortage of jobs. So this is going to happen, and many countries like Netherlands, she said, are going to opt out.
Do you think the do you think the current immigration crisis, which probably saw an upward movement from the Middle East to Europe, has anything to do with this particular referendum?
It has had effect, of course. It has had an immediate effect, and just as he was saying, the Romanians and Polish are taking up jobs in UK, and they were just not ready to accept more people who are coming from Africa or Syria, and that there was this resistance. And Boris Johnson and all the Brexit people, they banked on it, and think that's what has happened.
See, European disintegration now has got its root in the finance. If we look at it, Vineet, in another way, last year what happened? Greece defaulted on debt.
Right.
Spain and Italy were following
a
suit.
debt which they were forced to actually give to the European Union.
And what happened at the end of the day was that Germany, UK, France, some of the richer nations in the European Union, they came to the rescue. So there was a certain financial pressure which Germany, France and UK felt. So that triggered. Now when it comes to talking about the European disintegration, now with the UK out, they have lost one financial partner who could have contributed to rescue of one of the poorer EU nations. So the pressure is going to come on Germany and France totally. So I won't be surprised tomorrow they sit down together, the 27 nations, that fine, let's just forget about Europe, let's just be autonomous, let's work on our own and not spend our time and money in rescuing the poorer nations.
And one of the reasons why UK this Brexit gained in UK was because they didn't like France and German bureaucrats having so much say.
Right.
While they were putting the money, it was those bureaucrats who were running the show.
Right. Okay, coming back to you, Gopal, we've been dabbling over the fact that, the effect on the Indian economy because of Brexit are going to be negligible. Some people are saying that it will have an effect, especially on the IT sector. Having said that, the results of this particular referendum are not legally binding. They have about a couple of years to put things into place. Do you think 2 years is more than enough time for things to even out, and whatever apprehensions that we have today about an economic crisis or the benefits of India not panning out, they will all subside within that matter, or would we need more time for the ripple effect to actually subside?
Actually, the whole world will require some time to see the repercussion and this decision to get into the system, because ultimately I don't think it will much affect our economy, because we already have bilateral relations with UK and our trade is very good that way. And 2 years time, even as the leadership, UK leadership has said that this referendum, though it gives direction to what the people want, but it doesn't bind them to a particular decision. So still there will be further debates, and ultimately we have to, the world or European people have to decide whether this exit is beneficial to UK. If it is beneficial to UK, so how the economy, overall European Union economy will be that much affected in a negative sense. So ultimately that if the people of UK have decided that their economy will perform better, so we have a better relation with UK and our trade will not be affected. Ultimately these all issues, and further what it will have effect on United Kingdom. Similarly, other people will understand is it better to exit or
of course, and you know, a lot of elements in the Conservative Party as well,
so
Sharad,
all these things ultimately,
a lot of elements in the Conservative Party, Sharad, also felt that, you know, the EU was not undemocratic, but in effect it was anti-democratic. A lot of Britons did not understand the way it worked, who were the bureaucrats who were levying all these taxes, what were their faces like, did they know anything about the economy, did they know anything about the demographics, and that's become one of the big reasons that the EU was looked or frowned upon. Do you think, you know, if such an sentiment disseminates all throughout Europe, then we actually have a big problem, a very unstable Europe coming up ahead?
See, what the Conservatives felt was that a segment of Conservatives, shall I say, what they felt was that especially in the European Union, what they felt was that UK is by not being a full-fledged member of the European Union, is trying to dictate terms. So there was constantly in Brussels, every time the EU Parliament used to sit down, this was an issue that why can't UK, which was not a full-fledged member anyway, why can't it be a full-fledged member? Why can't it participate? Why can't it have full mercy with the people of European Union? Why can't it wholeheartedly be with the European Union? So I'll give a statement of Nigel Farage, who's the member of Independent Party, president of Independent Party.
We don't have much time, Sharad. So
he said, this is a victory of real people, victory of ordinary people, and victory of decent people. And I would say that this is a divorce where the alimony is being paid by the United Kingdom and the rest of the world.
That's a very good analogy, and on that note, Sharad, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Ashutosh and Gopal, thank you for sparing time and coming on to the show. What happens in the future with Brexit? Well, it's a question of time, and we will find out what happens in Britain and the remaining of Europe. That's all we have on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.